All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about a pretty radical idea today. What if the answer to all our broken systems isn't to fight them, but to go beyond them completely? We're going to explore a perspective that's all about dismantling the very hierarchical barriers our whole society is built on. Let's get into it.
I mean, you've probably felt it, right? Whether you're looking at politics or education or just our social structures, there's this feeling that something is fundamentally off. It's rigid, it's hypocritical, there's this huge gap between what we say we believe and what we actually do. And if you feel that way, you are definitely not alone.
So, here's the roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll figure out why systems seem to fail in the first place. Then we'll look at the classic trap of just rebelling against them. After that, we'll explore this really powerful alternative called the meta-system path. We'll even imagine what a whole society built on this could look like, face the real-world roadblocks, and wrap up with a totally new way of seeing everything.
Okay, first things first. Why do our systems feel so broken? Well, the core idea here is that their failure isn't a bug, it's a feature. You see, systems are designed to manage and control people, not to set them free. And how do they manage us? By breaking us apart. They thrive on duality, splitting everything into us versus them, good versus bad. This actually fragments our own minds, creating what our sources call a normalized schizophrenia. You know what I mean? Like being devoutly religious on Sunday, then absolutely ruthless in business on Monday. That gap, that internal split, is exactly where the system takes root, turning our living, breathing experiences into cold, dead rules.
So, when you see a broken system, what's the most natural reaction? You fight it. You become anti-system. But here's the thing, that's the first big trap. It's a totally understandable move, but it just keeps you locked in the same old game.
See, being anti-system means you're still defining yourself by the thing you hate. You're the anti to their pro. You're still caught in their game of us versus them, oppressor versus oppressed. And the crazy part is, by fighting the system on its own terms, you actually give it power. You become its other half, its pressure release valve. Okay. So fighting back is a trap, then what's the alternative? This is the heart of what we're talking about today, the meta-system path. This isn't about playing the game better or fighting harder. It's about a total shift in perspective. It's about realizing you're not even a piece in the game, you're the entire playing field.
This simple comparison just nails it. The anti-system person is on the chessboard, fighting like hell to win. But the meta-system perspective, it's the quiet, aware space in which the entire game is being played. It's a total game changer.
Let's break this down even more. Look at the key difference here, the result. The anti-system person becomes the escape valve. They let off steam, but the system itself doesn't fundamentally change. The meta-system path, on the other hand, leads to what's called operational freedom. It's the ability to see the patterns, to step outside the conflict, and to dissolve the very duality that keeps the whole fight going.
So, and this is crucial, meta-system isn't a new ideology or another system to believe in. It's a state of consciousness. It's the ability to see all systems, political, religious, social, as just temporary, man-made patterns. They're like toys in a playroom. You can see their rules without getting lost in them, without believing they're the only reality. I absolutely love this analogy. We usually think of reality as a pyramid, right? A hierarchy, where some things are higher or better than others. The meta-system view is more like a liquid matryoshka doll. The different realities aren't stacked on top of each other. They're flowing side by side. You can shift between them, observe them, without ever getting stuck in just one.
Now let's zoom out. What if we could take this idea from just an individual state of mind and build a whole society on it? A society that could flow, that wasn't rigid and stuck in those old top-down hierarchies?
So what would this liquid society look like? Well, for starters, structures would be fluid, not fixed pyramids of control. Things would run on voluntary, conscious agreements, not on fear and force. Even our identities would be fluid. You could see them as avatars you use to interact with the world, without being completely fused to them. And the foundation for all of it? An awareness that we are the observer of the story, not just a character trapped inside it.
Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing, maybe even a little utopian. So let's get real. Why aren't we living like this right now? Well, because the pull of the old game, the old way of thinking, is incredibly strong. There are some major roadblocks.
So what's holding us back? Our sources point to 5 big ones. First, just the deep programming of our own minds, our fear, our egos. Second, an economic system that's literally built on the idea of scarcity. Third, our collective, deep-seated fear of losing control. Fourth, even our language constantly chops reality into opposing pieces. And finally, all the unlooked-at parts of ourselves, our collective shadow.
This quote really gets to the economic heart of the problem. As long as we believe we're all fighting over a limited pie, whether it's money or power or even love, we will always create hierarchies and us versus them thinking to protect what we think is ours. Duality just thrives on that fear of not having enough. And this creates a really interesting problem, something the sources call an asymmetric debate. Someone operating from a metasystem view literally cannot win an argument against someone stuck in a dualistic mindset. Why? Because they're not even playing the same game. It's a dimensional mismatch. One person is trying to prove they're right, and the other is just observing the pattern of the argument itself.
So where does that leave us? This brings us to the final and maybe the most important shift. The real work isn't about fighting some big battle out there in the world. It's about a quiet, internal shift in how you see everything.
The real work, at the end of the day, is not to argue with the system. It's not to win the debate or convince anyone of anything.
But to actually build new ways of being, to create what are called circuits of authentic renewal. These are new patterns of connecting, of thinking, of living that just resonate with a deeper truth. You don't change the world by fighting the old reality. You make it obsolete by building a new one.
And maybe most fundamentally, the work is just to remember how to see the world from this whole integrated perspective that we all kind of knew as kids, before the systems taught us to be so divided.
This quote just says it all perfectly. I am not anti-system, I am metasystem. I am the space that sees all these systems as just toys. And from that space, I have the freedom to decide when I want to play with them and when I want to just step back and be.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. What if the most radical, world-changing thing you can do isn't to start a revolution or build a new system, but to simply remember the vast, aware space that you already are, right in the middle of it all? What do you think changes then?